All right, Dan, thank you so much for joining me on this video chat here. And maybe you give a brief introduction. Today, we want to talk about host resilience, building host resilience. And yeah, why don't you say quickly who you are and what you're doing?
Sure. Well, it's always good to chat with you, Lars. We have the best conversations. Who knows where this will go? But yeah, my name is Dr. Dan Traxler. I'm a practicing chiropractor with my wife, Dr. Ryan. She is also a chiropractor. We set up our practice in Sterling, Virginia, and we've been open since the summer of 2019 and rocking and rolling, and it's been a lot of fun. And then met you, and have loved the relationship we've built, and some of the things we'd like to dive into.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for the intro. So topic for today we chose is, should we focus more on building host resilience? And you think you have some opinion about that you want to share? Because we are in some interesting times, of course. It's not just winter, but since about 12 months, we're in a crazy situation. And host resilience, I think, is an interesting topic that you and I found we should dive a bit deeper and see what can be done and if it actually makes sense. What do you think?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I think when I hear that statement, should we build host resilience, I immediately think of that idiom, where you put attention, where your attention goes, energy flows, right? So what we focus on, what we put our intention into is really important. And like you said, during, the most recent times, this has really been a big topic of conversation. What can we do to better improve our health, better build our own body's resilience to the outside world? And that's been a passion of mine since I began my journey down, into healthcare. I was searching for things or a message or a way to practice healthcare that would empower myself, empower other people. My short story is I experienced a number of significant injuries playing sports, playing soccer. And I was kind of made to feel like, okay, there's really nothing you can do about this. This was the deck of cards you were dealt, and you have these goals, or this, you have these goals, these places you want to go, and your body is not capable of achieving those things, of achieving your goals. And that was a very limiting belief. And a lot of healthcare is set up that way, in my opinion. And so, I think there is a huge ability to improve your performance, improve your health, improve the way that your body functions and works. And that's kind of how we get into this topic of building resilience and building our ability to adapt. And there are a number of things you and I have talked about, continue to talk about, that we can do to build our body's ability to be adaptable to our both external environments, the world around us, and internally as well.
Would you also say, before we dive deeper into how it can be done, that there is more potential than people may think about what you can do by yourself without relying on solutions from the outside? Because that's something I often run into. It's like, guys, you have so much power that lies within your own capabilities, because we're so depending on outside systems and people and solutions that it's often neglected how powerful your own actions are, the way you think, the way you feel, and what you actually do with that beautiful system that you're walking around with 24/7.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think the concepts that we're going to talk about are simple, they may not be all that, some of them may not all be that groundbreaking, but that doesn't mean they're easy, or easy to form into habits. And I think that's not completely our own faults all the time. I think from a very early age in our society, like you said, we're kind of led to believe that you need all of these external things all the time and be completely dependent on A, B, and C, and the list goes on, in order to live a somewhat healthy life, right? And so, or avoid disease or avoid injury. And yeah, I think we are our own, who's telling us really that our bodies are capable of so much more, the potential that we have. Who's telling our kids that? Who's telling our new moms, our new families that? Who's telling our elderly that? And that's a message I think that is a really important and powerful message that hopefully is getting out there more and more.
Mm-hmm. And it's interesting that you bring that up. It actually goes through all age groups. I have done many workshops with elderlies in assisted health and assisted living centers, and even there, the mindset of some of the folks were like entirely blaming other people for what they were getting to eat. And I asked them, so are you choosing to eat? I mean, are they force feeding you, right? Or do you have an option? Because I see some other guests in the workshop, they actually brought their healthy snacks, for example. And so there's a lot of also blame on the outside world, on the food industry and the fast food chains and all these systems that are there, these options. Yes, they are tempting, but it's in the end, it's still a choice what you put into your system, not just physically, but also mentally, right? What is the information that you're feeding yourself and letting your feelings be impacted by that? So I'm always big on the choice. You have a choice. Yes, there's also monetary value tied to what you can, like organic food, for example. Yes, it's more expensive, but there are many ways to go about a healthier diet, working out, having better hydration or different quality of sleep, all these like basic things, that's more my terrain, to build the essential lifestyle areas with really simple measures that are non-disruptive but totally neglected by many people. We know a lot of things, and that's the interesting aspect too, right? We know a lot of things that are better for us, but then the inner mindset comes into play, and we're based on our conditioning, we're just not doing it for very interesting and diverse reasons. That's at least what I find. What's your take on that? Because you work also with different age groups, with moms, with parents in your practice. And so what is your experience about that? And then we can talk more about how do we actually build host resilience?
I mean, I think everybody's mindset, when people come into the office, I would say they're looking for something more, and they have usually tried a number of things, but they're searching for something, some way of empowering themselves, to take their health to a new level or a new height, or get out of this low pattern of disease or degeneration or sickness that they've been in. They're trying to break free from that. And there are a lot of things, like you just mentioned, like mindset is huge. Taking responsibility is huge. And focusing on things like we're going to get into that we can do to work on ourselves, really. And in turn, when we do that and we become a better version of ourselves, the best version of ourselves that we can be, well, that's going to affect the people you're surrounding yourself with. That's going to raise the level of your family, your loved ones, your friends. That higher vibration, that higher energy is contagious, and I think that is how this message is gonna spread and take over. And that's kind of how this word responsibility comes into play too. You know, we've kind of been focused on some of the things that we can do in the last year or so that we have a responsibility to do for our own health, but also the health of our loved ones, our at-risk loved ones, right? We have a responsibility to do the right thing. And this is right along those same lines, if not greater. And we always had this responsibility to take care of ourselves, so that we can continue doing the things that we love to do, but also so that we can continue to show up for our children, our loved ones, our spouse, our parents, if they're elderly and we're taking care of them, right? We want to be at our best in order to do these things.
Yeah. And I really loved how you laid out the entire landscape of responsibility, exactly for yourself, but also for your environment. And that's exactly what I keep on telling people. It's not just for you to show up in your best version, but you're also affecting everyone that you meet, that you talk with, that you think about even, right? We're all energetically connected with each other. And if you start thinking more empowered, more positive, more confident about yourself because you're taking action, you're taking care of yourself, your energy goes up, and your positive thoughts are going out as well without you even saying a word. I mean, just a typical example, when someone enters the room, you often feel an energy without that person having said anything, right?
Yeah.
I have that client, actually, she told me, when I enter the room, I just take over and I know it. And I love that self-confidence. People can probably tell when she does without her even saying anything. And that's really how it is, right? The sense of, is someone more positive or more negative, and you can sense that. And so it's really on all levels and to all sides, inside, but also outside into our environment. That's why I always say you are more powerful than you think. But don't, because people tend to say, what can I do as an individual? I'm just one person. Yes, you're one person, but you're so, so powerful with everything that you think, feel, and do. I always say think, feel, and do. That's how it goes.
And you never know how far reaching those thoughts, feelings, and actions are going to touch or get through to the world around you. You just never know the ripple effects that we have on everything, and they can be huge. You know, they can be huge.
Yeah,
the butterfly effect.
Absolutely, exactly, to the extreme. So how can we do it? Because you and I have different approaches. I come more from, as I said, lifestyle adjustments, but also looking at your inner mindset, your psyche, your conditioning, your subconscious programming, why you do the things that you do, and changing that inner programming. So habit changes, lifestyle changes stick and are more sustainable. And you have a different approach, which, I mean, leads to the same thing. But that's why I love to bring the two of us together, just to see how you come into this whole building your inner resilience.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I love the work that you do. I love the work that you've done, that you do with your clients, because like I tell people, health is a journey. You know, it's not a set destination, and there are all these pillars to that health journey that are so important. It's not one magic bullet thing, but all of these different aspects, the pieces of the puzzle fitting together, and we slowly build them and slowly work on them, building habits like you do, and programming the subconscious mind to help reinforce those habits. And little by little, you'll turn around and you'll say, oh my gosh, look at how far I have come. You know, look at what I do today, look at how I feel today, look at what I'm able to do in my life today compared to where I was. And that is the magic. So I'm a firm believer that it takes, you know, a few different aspects to health to help support us along that journey and build resilience. when I think, when I think about the word, what is health, what is healthy? I mean, it's a word that gets tossed around a lot, right? We typically know, apple is healthy, spinach is healthy, junk food is unhealthy, right? Like that's easy to determine, but then when you dive into the next level, what is healthy doing for our bodies? What does that look like? That's where the terms resilience and adaptability, in my mind, come up, right? Our bodies have an amazing ability to adapt. When you eat food, your body adapts by turning that food into all the cells and tissues and organs and muscle inside of our body, right? It's literally turning substance A into our bodies, right? And that's an ability to adapt. When you exercise, you are stimulating the body in a certain way, stimulating your muscles in a certain way, shocking the system so that they build muscle or build endurance or get stronger, right? And that's an ability to adapt.
Yeah.
And that's what I think about when I think of when we measure our health or measure how healthy we are looking at how well we are able to adapt to our environments, both the environment around us and the environment inside of us, right?
Beautiful.
And I think when we lose that ability to adapt, or that ability to adapt becomes lessened or dampened, then that's where we might have some health challenges come up, right? Like we're more at risk for injury, or more at risk for illness or disease, or something not working quite right. So when I say, we have a responsibility to build our resiliency, that's what I'm talking about, is how can we build our ability to adapt? Well, that's a crazy concept, you might think. I don't know how many people have heard of that. How do I do that?
Yeah.
And that's what the approach that we have in our office, and we are able to measure the body's ability to adapt. We're able to change that, improve that, and then we measure the progress along the way. And there are other ways to do it as well. In our office, we really, focus on the function of the nervous system. And the nervous system, your brain and your central nervous system, is how the body builds that ability to adapt. That is responsible for how we interact and change with our environments, right? Our brain is constantly taking in the information that we're picking up from the environment, deciding what to do with that information, and then sending out a response, right? And the more accurately it's able to do that, the more we can optimize that ability to interact with our environment, the healthier we're going to be. So, that's the approach we take, is we want to measure that ability to adapt, improve it, optimize it, so that, we get better health outcomes, we become healthier people.
Thank you. That was beautifully laid out. I actually went to your office once. We did a very interesting assessment. I mean, that one time it was very, very interesting. We used different, I mean, maybe you can explain that, because what was really eye-opening for me is when you did this one particular test, which I was part of familiar with, because I'm applying some of the techniques for myself to improve my stress resilience through certain breathing techniques. And it was integrated in your assessment, and then you showed me the result. And I was blown away by it, because I would have never thought that is the situation. And I could explain, I mean, we can go into that after, but maybe you explain that part of the process, because it was also very, like, in your face. You had, okay, this is how it looks. This is your stress level and your energy level. So
Sure. Yeah. Well, we love to be objective in our office, because I think anytime you're looking at how the body is functioning, you have to be objective about it. How we feel all the time is not necessarily the only indicator for how how we're doing, right? How things are working on the inside. And so, we want to look at how the nervous system is functioning. We do a number of things like we did with you to help measure that. One of the biggest ways that we're objective is we use a number of scans that we'll do along the nervous system to help give us a better picture of how it's working. The first one that we do is a surface EMG, electromyography, and we pick up the muscle tone and muscle activity of the muscles along the spine and see how balanced those are, see how efficient those are, because that's an indication of how efficient our nervous system is working as it exits the spine, how efficient we are in our posture. And that's really important. The next one that we'll do is thermography, or temperature, and we roll that up the spine as well. And that's going to pick up where stress and tension is building up, coming off of the spine, if it's balanced side to side, or if there's a stress response happening on one side of the body versus the other, or in one area of the spine where it shouldn't be. And that gives us a better look of where the nervous system is being dampened, or where that communication is less than optimal, so that we can make a correction at that spot. And then the third one, which I just love, is heart rate variability, or HRV. And that is the one that is giving us a window into how well you are adapting to the stressors in your life, or how well you're adapting to your environment. By detecting the variability in your heart rate, the variability in the oil, the clamminess on your hands, or the skin temperature in your fingers over a period of time, we're able to pick up on how adaptable your body is. The general idea behind heart rate variability is, if we were sitting here and all of a sudden a big grizzly bear were to walk into the room, what would happen to your heart rate, Lars? It would go way up.
Through the roof.
It would go through the roof. And that's essential, right? That is a healthy, proper response, right? That's a good thing. Because there's a threat. Our body's detected a threat. And there's a number of other things that happen automatically in our bodies, and we call that the fight or flight response, right? Hopefully, if we have a good ability to adapt, that response happens quickly. And that would be a good heart rate variability, a high variability, right? Because as soon as a threat comes in, we're like, whoa, and we get ready to fight or flight right away. When the threat passes, and it's time to relax and recover, what happens to our heart rates?
It goes down.
Hopefully. It goes down, hopefully, yeah. And that's a good, healthy response. We want to be able to relax. We want to be able to recover. That's when we're able to digest food. That's when we're able to build an immune system, relax, recover, build muscle, things like that. And so again, if there's not a threat, a healthy response would be for the body to go into that rest and recovery state. The unhealthy response, which unfortunately a lot of us experience today, is that we're kind of chronically stuck in that fight or flight response, right? We're always running from the tiger, running from the bear, or we think there's threats in our environment, right? And sometimes that's not always an accurate or healthy response, right? So the heart rate variability that we do in our office, the HRV, is able to pick up on that and measure, okay, are you in a chronic stress response? Is your body constantly running from the tiger? Is your body exhausted from running from the tiger all the time? How much energy do you have in your nervous system? And how much room for improvement can we get? Because that's, improving your HRV, improving your ability to adapt is just like we're talking about. That's essential for good health.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you for that summary. That was really insightful. No, seriously. I mean, the way you explain it is very with a lot of clarity. So thank you for that. And HRV is an interesting one that I'm also working with a lot through breathing, and I found that you can really see and track the improvement of your coherence, basically, with just applying regular breathing techniques on a regular basis every day. It doesn't have to be long, 10 minutes or whatever, and you see the day-to-day, week-to-week improvements in your coherence, which is absolutely mind-blowing. Just a couple of minutes of really intentional breathing, and what it can do. And that's what I love about the simplicity of things. These are things that we do automatically. All day, all night, we breathe. Right? So it's our number one, the most important thing that needs to get into our body, right?
Yeah, you can't go days without breathing.
Exactly. It's a few minutes and then you're done, but there are so many ways you can breathe, right? You can have this shallow breathing or this intermittent breathing. Like some people at night when they have this interrupted breathing, they're holding their air, and then, I mean, there's all kinds of things around breathing. And what actually blew me away when I did that assessment in your office again, you actually left the room and I had my fingers in these sensors, and I was actually intentionally breathing. I did my, like, I think 5 seconds or 6 seconds in and 6 seconds out.
Right.
I slowed down my breathing, and you came in after, I don't know how long it was, a few minutes, and you looked at the results. Did you do something here with your breathing? I was like, yes, I did. But then you showed me the results, and it was very unexpected. What do you remember?
I'd have to pull them up. I'd have to pull up your results. Yeah.
Because so from an energy level, because there were 2 dimensions, the energy level was in the higher zone, in the upper zone, but the stress level was on the sympathetic, on the stress side of the nervous system, pretty much. I was like, how can that be? Well, I was, I think, a day or 2 before a longer trip to Germany, so I had a lot of things going on. But I was sitting in the office, and that's what I mean with it. It's very, you may think or you may feel that you're not stressed, but your body is actually under stress. And that was for me the eye-opening thing. It's like, don't be fooled by when you think you have everything under control. Your body may actually be under a lot of stress, and you don't realize it right away.
Yeah. How well we adapt to stress, and if we as a society can improve that, would solve so many problems that we have in our healthcare today. I mean, we know our healthcare system is number one. It is extremely effective and at treating disease emergency situations, right? We have the best technology, the best doctors, the best surgeons the world has to offer, and it's incredible, right? We do incredible things with the modern healthcare system that we have today. However, we also know it's extremely reactive by being catered, so effective at emergency situations, right? We are constantly reacting to things that happen to our bodies, right? If we have a huge, all of a sudden something happens to us, a cardiac issue, a big injury, we have to be rushed to the hospital, right? We have amazing tools at our disposal to take care of that. But my thinking comes in, okay, what can we do to build that resilience, build that health, build that adaptability before we have to react to something happening, right? And that's kind of what you're talking about. How we feel doesn't always determine how we're doing, right? Because the number of times something in my, people come to me in my office and it's like, I've done this a million times. How come this one time, all of a sudden, it caused this huge issue in my body? And it's like, well, we need to. That's where the HRV comes in. That's where measuring some of the stuff comes in, is because that's going to look at how well you're functioning, maybe before you feel and have to react to something bigger happening, right? And that to me is preventative healthcare, and working in tandem with the reactive emergency healthcare system that we have today, I think we can only see greater, better health outcomes for all of us when the two work together.
Yeah. For me, the interesting part is how to get the motivation to actually do proactive stuff, right? Because we're so busy in our life, and that's the reactive measures fit very well into our lifestyle. And
Sure.
I find you have to be at a certain point in life to either have a strong desire to take better care of yourself before shit hits the fan, so to say, or
French or German or what was?
I don't know, one of them, and or you have to be in a pain already for a certain period of time that you say, okay, I'm fed up with this. This is a dead end road, and I don't want to continue like that. So that's what I find. It's either a really strong desire, I don't want to get to that point where I just collapse, or because I have responsibilities, I have a family, I've built a legacy, a career, or a business, and I want to enjoy the fruits of my work, or, you know, so that is for me always the interesting part. What is, like, how can we get and tap into that motivation, that core motivation, the why underneath the why you want to change something about your health.
Yeah, it's essential, and it's that why can look different for everybody, you know, can be completely different. Some people are thinking long term, they want to be active and they want to walk their child down the aisle at their wedding, be there for their grandkids. They want to continue to do the things they love to do for a long time, which is so cool. Some people want to compete and they want to be at their best, and they want to take their performance to the highest level possible and see what they can achieve, and that's great. Some people, maybe more in the business world, want to continue performing at a high level that way. You know, they want to stay productive. They need to be super efficient with their time because they work really hard, and they're very important. They have a lot of responsibility. Maybe they have family at home that they need to show up for. And being able to be present and be productive and not have, you know, big health issues or other things distracting them from those moments is really important to them. So yeah, the motivation can be all over the place. But like you said, tapping into that and understanding what motivates you, why you do the things you do, is huge. And I think you're an expert in unlocking that with people.
Yeah, thank you. I think the awareness comes before change, right? First, you have to understand, am I ready to do something, or would it be a nice to have? Right? That's the first thing. Maybe we can talk briefly about like concrete steps that you can actually take. And I loved what you say about if you're busy, if you want to achieve a higher productivity, higher performance. And we all have a very precious asset, which is time, right? We don't have enough time, which is why I think it's even more important that we find simple, non-disruptive measures that we can easily embed in our day-to-day life without turning our world upside down. That's always my objective. Okay, let's do things that you're doing anyway already. Let's just do them different in a way that you don't need to totally rethink your entire daily routine or night routine for that matter. So what are the top 3 or 5 things that you would recommend, coming back to that point of building host resilience?
Yeah. And like I said, these things are simple and, you know, may not be super groundbreaking, but I think the results are groundbreaking when you're able to implement them consistently. You'd be amazed at how you feel, how you function, when you implement a couple simple things into your life. Number 1, I would say, you know, hydration. Number 1, hydration. I think you would be amazed at if you, in the morning, first thing before you have your coffee or before you have your tea, to make sure you hydrate yourself because you've just been asleep for hopefully a few, hopefully a few hours,
Yeah.
without water. And so it's essential that you rehydrate yourself.
Yeah.
That's going to help stimulate your metabolism, right? It's going to keep off the cravings for sugar and simple carbohydrates. It's the oil, it's the fluid that keeps and lubricates your entire body, your digestive system, your organ systems, your muscles, gets everything warmed up and going. When things become dry and dehydrated, things can start to tear or break down. So hydration is huge, and staying hydrated throughout the day is huge, because if you then have coffee or tea or soda, if you're a soda drinker or whatever, salt, all that's going to pull water out of your tissues, and so it's important to keep hydrated. Number two, and this one's important for me, but I know it can look different for everybody, is I'm a big fan of winning the morning. I think winning the morning sets you up for success, and we all have different schedules. Some people work different hours, not everybody's 9 to 5. So if you wake up, I know I like to wake up early, and that, is something I'll recommend if someone hasn't tried it. The quietness, the extra time you get in the mornings is great, and it usually also gets you tired earlier in the evening, so you can fall asleep a little easier. But some people, do better when they sleep in a little later, and that's great too. But whatever you do, those first couple things in the morning to set your day on the right foot, simple things will just help build the momentum throughout the day to stay successful. So for me, it's like, making my bed, not checking email or notifications or anything until after I've, drinking water and moved my body, stretched, or just kind of warm my body up a little bit. And then, having a good, whenever you eat, whether you're an intermittent faster or you like breakfast, that first thing that you put in your body is something that's going to serve you, right? So whether it's simple pieces of fruit, or a good protein, or a good sustainable saturated fat, whatever that is, that first thing that you put in your body is important, right? And then the third thing is I'm a big fan of movement and healthy movement, right? The body loves movement. Our organs, our muscles, everything loves to move. And even like you were talking about breath work earlier, breathing is the constant natural movement that keeps everything moving in the body, through the body. And so when we breathe into the right places, we're able to get that movement going. And then, of course, call it exercise, call it working out, call it whatever, your movement practice, whatever you choose to do that you enjoy, doing it consistently, 15, 20 minutes a day, 30 minutes a day, whatever, at least, it's just going to help so much. And I, keeping that going. So those would be my top three. What I say: hydration, winning the morning, and healthy movement.
Healthy movement. I love that. Yeah. And the breathing, I would add to that. It's we just breathing properly makes a huge difference. Just slowing down your breathing and start breathing more through your nose is very, very powerful.
You can't get far without that.
Sorry, what?
You can't get very far without healthy breathing.
Exactly. Yes. And maybe just a recommendation from my end: become more observing of how you're actually running the show during the day, and become an observer of your habits, how you do things at the moment, and then find out where you can tweak a little bit. And don't take on too much at once, because we are busy and we don't want to add too many things to the plate. So pick one. If it's the hydration, if it's seizing the morning, if it's the breathing, if it's the movement, whatever it is, a small change in action, and just doing that for, let's say, a week, not adding anything else. For me, it's all about adding these pieces, all the things that you said, and slowly, not all
Mm-hmm.
together, because sometimes we like to overcommit and then we underdeliver, and that's frustrating, and then we stop altogether.
Mm,
So small changes one by one, because they have a compounding effect over time.
absolutely.
And they can already be very powerful. Like just as you said, if you just improve the hydration, just do that and see what it actually does. This way you also know what each measure, what it brings you. Or does it give me more clarity, actually more energy, less headache? My digestion suddenly improves, or this achiness in my back goes away just by drinking more water. Wow, how powerful is that? I
Mm-hmm.
wonder
Mm,
what happens if I do the other things, right?
right.
Cool. Do you want to add anything? Because I think that was quite solid. Really understanding also how you're approaching it in your office. That was really interesting, and just giving people something to act on, and even if it's just becoming more aware first before taking action.
Yeah. No, I loved our conversation today. I think, like you said, everything builds on everything and has a cumulative effect. And when you're looking for the magic bullet, it's consistency, being able to build on everything. It doesn't have to be perfect. None of us are perfect.
Yeah,
But these things will add up, and day by day, one day at a time, try to turn these little small changes into habits. And then you turn around and you're like, for the last 3 months, I've made my bed every single day, and I've also been more productive, more profitable in my business than ever before. Are those two related? I don't know, but
yeah,
it's these little things, day by day, building these habits, these routines. That is the secret sauce, and that's what I love to investigate. And I know you love to investigate too, and the
yeah,
results you get.
yeah.
It's super, super cool.
Yes. Thank you, Dan. And maybe one point to add to that, because what you said, you turn around after a couple of weeks and then you see suddenly, wow, I'm doing things different. Very often you don't even notice the
Mm-hmm.
difference because it changes so subtle. So it's very important to keep that awareness up and have sort of a baseline to compare to, maybe taking notes. Slight improvements matter. The tiniest improvements matter. Taking note of that, so you actually, it helps you later with the confidence and with the trust part. If you really see, oh my God, I totally forgot. Yes, my digestion improved, or this went away, or whatever. You forget about these small changes. You neglect them, and they're very important for you to take more actions. And so to
And
get
that brings into mind, ask. It's going to be also from the people that you surround yourself with. Like, we all have, when we're so focused on things and going through our days, we have our blinders on, right? We're focused on the things we're focused on, and we can be aware. We can tap into that awareness, but asking friends, asking loved ones for, hey, what have you noticed in the last couple weeks? Or sometimes they'll just come out and tell you, or a support system, like you provide. Those are also great ways to tap into what are those little subtle changes that you've made. How have they impacted both myself, my quality of life, and also the quality of life around other people too. Maybe you haven't noticed anything, but your spouse is like, you've been awesome the last couple weeks. You've been so helpful. You've been so kind. You've been so present with me. And you're like, I didn't even notice that. So
yeah,
we're community, and we are human beings. We interact with other people, and that's also an essential part of this, is connecting ourselves to not only ourselves and our health, but also connecting with others as well.
yeah. Wow, powerful. Thank you so much, Dan. This was a great conversation. Thank you for your time. Thank you for all the good messages. And yeah, we'll put your contact information in the comments, in the notes, if people
Absolutely.
want to reach out to you and talk more or schedule a session with you, and then we go from there.
Until next time, Lars.
Yes, I would love to. Thanks.
Have a great day. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Take care.
Bye.